call the meeting to order for the development permit panel today. And I'll just briefly introduce the panel. So we've got today, we have Cecilia Asham on the panel, our General Manager of Community Safety. We also have Milton Chan, our Director of Engineering, and I'm Joe Werseg, I'm the GM of Planning. So the job of the panel is to take a look at the design aspects of projects. We have a couple of applications, and we'll be dealing with each application separately, first with a presentation, then with any input to be received, and then the panel will deliberate and formulate a recommendation for council on the project. I think everyone's probably familiar with the procedure that we use: a presentation, questions, staff comments, questions, open it up to the public. So I think the first item is actually adoption of some minutes, is it not, Wayne?
Yes, that is correct.
Can you just tell me what the date on those is? Because I haven't got the date handy.
The adoption of the minutes for the development permit panel meeting held on March 10th, 2020.
Okay. So are there any, for the panel, any errors or omissions to the minutes? No? Okay, we'll consider them adopted. So I'm actually having some trouble, some technical troubles here. So we're going to move on to the first item. And Mr. Craig, if you can just outline, it's a development permit for a mixed-use development. Can you just outline the details of it for me, please?
Sure. Item number 1 is development permit 20-896-600. The development permit is to permit the construction of a high-rise mixed-use building containing approximately 737 square meters of commercial space at grade and 149 market rental housing units at 5500 number 3 road on a site zoned high density market rental residential and limited commercial ZMU 45. There is one variance associated with the project to increase the maximum balcony projection into the Lansdowne Road setback from 1.66 meters to 2 meters.
Okay, thanks, Wayne. Okay, so I'm assuming that you folks are here as applicants and consultants to the applicants. So who would like to present this project?
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Odegaard. I am an architect with MCM Partnership Architects. We are the architects on the project, so I'll be presenting a slideshow. I'm assuming I share my screen under this format. Okay, great. So I've got that ready to go. I'll be sharing my screen, and then our project team, project landscape architect will be following me briefly at the end. So I will share my screen and let me know if you all cannot see this. Give me one moment here.
Okay, we can see that.
Great. Okay, so I've been instructed to keep it brief, so I will do my best to go through this quickly, but cover all of the salient points. So 5500 number 3 road, we're at the intersection of number 3 road and Lansdowne. So this is a photo I took flying into YVR back when we used to do that, looking south down number 3 road at the site. So here we are. Lansdowne and number 3 road, obviously across the street from the Lansdowne station of the Canada Line, and across the street from Lansdowne Center. I'll move on to some context photos quickly that tell the story. So this is our site here in the top left. There are 2 adjacent strata residential buildings on the adjacent lots to it, to the south and to the east. The site is, as I mentioned before, adjacent to the Canada Line guideway along number 3 road at Lansdowne. And I'll just go quickly to the policy document. So this is the land use map showing that the site is in the T6 urban core area of Lansdowne Village from the city center policy. So just briefly, T6 has the highest height and density allotments in the OCP. This is a diagram that we generated to show kind of existing and then some proposed and some more longer range, I'll say, proposed developments in the neighborhood in alignment with policy to sort of show how this neighborhood may grow and develop and evolve in the coming years. So some massing diagrams that explain the site, some of the constraints around our site, and how we've arrived at the form of development in our proposal. So there, as I mentioned, there are the two residential towers or buildings adjacent to us. So setbacks and privacy and livability to those towers have really informed what we've today, or what we've done in our proposal that we're presenting today. We have sort of three components to our building. We have a podium and then a mid-rise and a high-rise portion. The setbacks to these mid-rise and high-rise portions of the building are informed by the adjacencies of these towers and their podiums next to the project. So this forms sort of three massing elements that you see on the left here. And then we've further kind of embraced that massing idea or concept through the materiality and expression of the buildings. So I'll show you some renderings in a moment that show the color, the facade treatment, and the materiality and the program on those various portions of the building. And lastly, we've activated the podium and mid-rise roofs with amenity space, which we'll show you the plans for in the landscape portion of the presentation, in addition to the public realm fronting onto Lansdowne and number 3 Road, with lobby space and retail space primarily, and some amenity space. So this is your first view looking at the north facade. This is from the Canada Line Guideway as you travel south into the city center. This shows really the three sort of massing elements, the 15-story tower element here, which is clad in a lighter metal panel expression, and then a darker panel expression on the mid-rise portion. And then the base of the building, which is primarily commercial retail with parking in behind above grade, is clad again in a different panel material to really sort of provide variation and a different identity for the different programmatic elements within the building. This is an aerial photo looking down at the roof of the mid-rise portion of the building, which is programmed with an amenity for all residents of the building that includes social spaces and kids play area, which landscape Alyssa will get into shortly. Some additional views looking at the east and west ends of the building. On the left-hand side, this is a view west down Lansdowne, looking at the end of the building with the loading garbage and vehicular access off of the lane, and then the opposite end of the building, again, as it faces the Canada Line Guideway. I won't get into too much of detail here, but these are, again, more 3D views of the adjacency and the relationship to the building to the south. So we've matched the height of our podium with theirs and provided a generous landscape buffer between the two projects for privacy and security. This is an elevation of the north facade at grade, where we have commercial space on the corner of number 3 in Lansdowne, which then transitions to amenity and lobby uses for the building with loading and garbage in behind at the west end, where we see an opportunity for some sort of, I'll say public art in air quotes at the end there, which we're notionally showing this large sort of super graphic of the address of the building. Really quickly, because we're virtual, usually we'd be walking around a model in council chambers with you, but these are some photos of our massing model that we're quite proud of, that we presented to design panel, which show the various sort of elements of the building, how they're broken up into different components and articulated through these balcony projections. So with that, I will turn it over to Alyssa with Prospector Refuge.
That's great. Do you want me to share my screen, or do you want to just change? Yeah, okay. Okay. Hi, I'm Alyssa with Prospect and Refuge. We're the landscape architects on this project. And we have, I'll start on the ground floor and I'll start with sort of, this is the offsite drawings, but I think it shows the relationships at grade quite well. There's, you know, we're expecting heavy pedestrian volumes because of the proximity of the SkyTrain and the bus stop on Lansdowne. So, you know, there's sort of generous pedestrian walkways. There's also some existing trees that we're maintaining on the number 3 roadside. And then we're continuing the trees to the south with some new proposed trees there. As well, along Lansdowne, we're proposing new street trees all along the frontage. And like the paving is all, we're working with city staff to develop that and to connect with the sort of urban fabric of the local neighborhood. Here's our on-site. And you can see that, you know, we have this sort of generous area. There's, we're looking at, you know, some kind of restaurant use on the ground level. So it's leaving options for putting in sort of a restaurant patio along the corner of number 3 road in Lansdowne. And then as we get further east, the adjacent building has more of a residential feel. And so we're adding more of the landscaping and to create sort of a transition from the urban number 3 road towards the more residential feel of the building adjacent on the east. And we've really tried to sort of select materials and patterns that pick up on the urban design that's happening around the neighborhood so that it feels cohesive with what we're doing, and also to bring in a bit of greenery to, you know, to create some softening. On level 5, like Peter said, we're stepping down that back patio, the back terrace to meet the grade of the adjacent amenity space to the south. And that's going to help with security and as well as creating more privacy and preventing overlook. So we have pedestrian patios that are coming down into this amenity space. And then we have this linear amenity space that's broken into rooms to allow for a variety of activities simultaneously with people not interfering with each other. And this amenity here connects into an interior amenity. So there's a nice interior exterior flow that's happening. We also have some nice space here for some just some greening and some planting that can provide bird habitat. And I just added this section. This is just a section showing the stepping down and the you know, the fencing to show the relationship between the two. This is the building to the south, and this is our 5th level patio. On the rooftop, we're really excited by the range of programming that we have available because it's a very generous patio area. I'm going to just zoom in a little bit. I hope this doesn't do weird things. Here. So again, we have an interior amenity space. We're connecting to that. We've really tried to provide a range of play activities for children and to accommodate a range of ages as well. So there's a slide, there's a sort of an open green space that we're picturing, you know, can be for yoga or running around loose parts. There's a sandbox, which in our experience with these sort of amenity spaces is mostly used by really small kids, kind of like 2 or 3 years old, and that the sandbox has the highest play value. We're opening up some of these landscape areas to include natural play for children. So the planting has kids in mind in terms of its texture and, you know, sort of sensory and availability of loose parts for things for kids to play with. And then some, you know, sports type activities for older kids. One of the things that I think I'm really happy about is that, you know, these activities are going to be used more during the day by children. And then once it gets into the evening, kids go to bed. And then the more social activities happen over here. So it's separated from quite nicely from the the residential units here. So it sort of acts as like a, a natural division in terms of when the program activity is going to be happening. And then again, we've provided for a range of spaces for maximum flexibility. We also have a little dog relief station in the corner here to provide, some outdoor space for dogs. And that's my presentation. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Thank you for both presentations. I think they were excellent. I'm sure we have some questions from the panel, so I'm going to open it up. Cecilia, Milton.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. One has to do with lighting of both of the amenity space in the evening for making sure it doesn't bother the adjacent neighbors. And are you doing any lighting along the lane and the facade? And secondly, while you're doing the lane, can you just talk about, if I remember correctly, the lane was narrower before this development. Is this going to be opening up more of the lane?
I can take the first part, and then I'll hand it off to Alyssa for the lighting of the outdoor amenity space on level 9. So on the lane, I'm going by memory here. I could pull up my drawings, but I believe we have a 3-meter dedication or SRW. So there is some additional width being provided on that lane. The exact number I would have to look up for you if that's important. But the answer is yes, it is getting wider.
Okay.
On lighting, we haven't developed all of the details yet, but yes, there will be some public realm lighting on the lane that will be focused down, that will be controlled to light the public realm from a SEPTED perspective without providing light pollution to neighbors and neighboring properties. We will be continuing some sort of lighting around the public realm along Lansdowne and number 3, which would likely be integrated into the canopy. With respect to lighting on the amenity deck on level 9, we would be doing that. I can maybe defer to our landscape architect, Alyssa, just to talk about the sort of high level strategy for that.
Sure. Yeah, the high level strategy, we're providing enough lighting for safe nighttime use but really looking at sort of built-in lighting in the planters rather than any kind of like high level lighting. And focusing the lighting on the areas that we want to be used in the evening, which is more the seating areas away from the residential units. So we've also got quite a green buffer between the and trees between the residential units and any sort of evening use activities. So that's going to help with reducing any light pollution that could be getting in there.
Okay, thank you. Milton, do you want to jump in here at all?
Sure. Just a follow-up question. How about the 5th floor amenity level? Is it going to be a similar strategy for the lighting on that one as well?
Yeah. Wait, I'm not muted, am I? No. Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, same strategy. So the lighting would be kept low to provide adequate lighting for circulation, but to keep it away from the units. And there's a grade separation that'll help with the light not shining into the windows of those residential units.
Okay. And just one other question. In the presentation, you had a view of the Lansdowne facing part of the building. Is the 3 road frontage going to be a similar aesthetic?
Yes, the number 3 road frontage will be similar at grade. The retail will actually wrap around and covers the entirety of the frontage along number 3 road. So there will be an active retail use to be determined on the entire frontage of number 3 road, and then the cladding material above that, which screens the parking above that, will be consistent with what's shown on Lansdowne.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Anything else, guys? No? I've just got a couple of small questions, I guess. First of all, I really appreciate the attention to detail that you've paid, particularly to the adjacent site and tying into it. And I guess also the Canada line and where this site is in this particular, node. Peter, I think you spoke about sort of the three elements: the base, the mid-rise, and then the tower. I'm thinking about riding in and out of Richmond on the Canada line. And is it your parking that will be adjacent to the guideway? What is it that people will see when they're riding Canada line of this development?
I would have to refer to our section to confirm, which I'll do as I talk. But
okay.
As I recall,
let me ask you the question so you can just sort of address it all. I'm wondering what sort of screening and treatment you're using, not for the retail. I'm sure that that's great down at the street level, but if in fact from Canada Line we're looking at you've got a couple of levels of parking there. How are you treating that so that we're not looking into, parking levels?
Yeah, we've paid close attention to that. We certainly understand the importance of screening that, but also doing it in an elegant and thoughtful way. I've just checked our section, so that the elevation of the guideway, and as you sit, in the Canada Line car, is actually just above the elevation of the call it the podium. So you're kind of at the same elevation of the first. Call it level 5 of the residential mid-rise. But that being said, I can speak to the the cladding on the parkade screen. So the intent is that it's completely opaque, so that you don't see vehicles, and at night you don't see headlights. So it will be visually screened from a sort of performative perspective, and then visually we're developing the details of it. Right now as we speak, but the intent is that we'll actually have a sort of custom panel material that's kind of highly articulated, which the renderings kind of indicate that. So it will be quite visually interesting to look at, and it's sort of more than just a flat surface.
Right, and so those parking levels will actually be a little lower than the elevation of the Canada Line. What is it? Excuse me, what is it that people will see? Is it the landscaping on that lower level that Alyssa showed us? Yeah.
When you're immediately adjacent to it, you will see landscaping, but you will also see the ends of those units in the mid-rise building. Pardon me. However, they are set back a significant distance. Yeah,
it'll be quite attractive. I'm asking because some of the older stuff the new stuff is great, but some of the older developments really don't present very well, when you're heading in and out of the city. So, and then the second question, it's just about the variance. You want to reduce the setback for balconies. Does that result in bigger balconies, more usable balconies?
It does. It results in a balcony that's approximately 2 meters deep, which is quite a livable dimension that we really recommend, really as a minimum, for it to be a usable, functional, livable balcony. And so that's the reason, really, so that we can kind of balance having a proper balcony. But also not impact sort of the viability of the project by having to set the building back further.
And is that variance just for the upper levels, or is it for all levels?
It's for all residential levels.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything from level 4 up.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's all for me. If there's nothing else from the panel, I'll thank you for your presentation and responses. And Wayne, do you have staff comments on this one?
A few comments, if I may, Mr. Chair. As indicated in the presentation, this is a 100% market rental project. All the residential units are secured through rental tenure zoning and a housing agreement with the city. all of the rental units achieve the city's basic universal housing guidelines with respect to universal accessibility. There will be an on-site low-carbon energy plant provided as part of this development. That energy plant would be transferred to the Lulu Island Energy Company and facilitate future connection to the city's district energy utility network. The servicing agreement associated with this project will deal with the frontage improvements along number 3 road, Lansdowne Road, and the widening of the lane. With respect to the questions from Ms. Yashem, the lane will be widened. A sidewalk will also be installed, as well as some lighting within the lane to city standard through the servicing agreement. There is, the project has been designed to achieve the CMHC interior noise standards, and we do have acoustical reports dealing with both aircraft noise and Canada line noise confirming that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, when you mentioned the lane, we have various city centre standards for the lane, I think, which are quite generous. So this will complete this section of the lane to the full standard, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Any questions of staff?
One quick question. The applicants show that there is potentially a patio along Lansdowne and number 3 row accompanying the restaurant. Will there be a separate process that engineering, for example, will look at the patio space if it comes in so that it will be complementary to the design?
Through the chair to Mrs. Shem, there are public rights of passage right-of-ways being registered through the rezoning. Patios encroaching into those public rights of passage right-of-ways will require approval from the city's engineering department.
So there'd be a case-by-case application, right, with an assessment of whether we can accommodate or not. Okay. Anything else for staff? All right. Do we have anyone that's presenting to us on this from the public? I think the answer is no, but Rustico, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we don't have anything from the public.
Okay. Do we have anything written?
Nothing, Mr. Chair.
Nothing written either. Okay, so that brings us to panel deliberation. There is a recommendation from staff. Maybe we can get it on the floor if there's a mover and a seconder.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Milton, you're second. You're the only other person. Okay. So, comments. I'm happy to start. I'm happy to support the project. I think it's actually very thoughtfully done, and which I appreciate. And, from a design point of view, I think there's been a lot of attention to detail, and in terms of the materials and finishing and presentation, this will not read as like a rental project, although it is, and I'm happy to see that. I think we've got a bit of background noise, so I'll be supporting this. If there's any other comments from the panel.
Yeah, no, I like to just echo that, and not despite it doesn't show up as a rental building. Not that a rental building should be of any lesser quality, and the amenity space and such are well designed, thoughtful
Yes.
for different ages. So I also appreciate that, and I am looking forward to some animation on the street level, particularly in this location as well.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll get a cactus club back on the site. Anyway, it's moved and seconded. I'm going to call the question. All those in favour? Opposed? So it's carried. Thank you for your project. It's a nice project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Okay, Wayne, are we ready to go with the next one?
Yes, we do have both applicants in the meeting. I'm
Okay,
happy to
I can do the
introduce-
intro for this one.
Okay.
My iPad's back in commission. So the next development is a development permit. The file reference is 20-916262. It's Avenue Developments, Inc. and the property location is 11540 Railway Avenue. And this is a development permit for the construction of a duplex on this property. So is it Ruben and Wendy?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to present today. If you can just start with your name and address for the record, and then any comments that you would like to make.
Ruben, do you want to say anything to start out, or do you want me to go ahead?
No, please go ahead.
Okay. Well, my name is Wendy Andrews from the Andrews Architects. You need my address, do you?
Yeah, if you can remember it.
What's my
Otherwise we'll
address?
Google it.
3470 Chatham Street in
Okay.
Steveston. And I'm the architect working with Ruben for many years now on this. We're sort of the other end of the scale, just a little duplex along Railway.
Yeah, right.
And we're just south of the intersection with Gary Street. So I guess, I mean, we're not going to do a very elaborate presentation, but I do have the drawings here. Do you want me to share my screen and just?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that would make it easier rather than us trying to,
Okay.
you know, individually look at them.
So I guess it's just that. So this is the architectural drawings. So you can see it's we're basically between an existing house over here, and then to the north, it's actually a new development. And we are within the setbacks that are allowed, and we are trying to stay in character with the streetscape along Railway as well. We're perhaps a little bit lower than the new complex development to the north. So just wanted to say just a couple of things is that we are, although it's a duplex, we are trying to give identity from the street for both the units. So they each have the front door. They have their own little yards, private yards in the front and the back. And we're trying to make use of the driveway as a usable space, not only for driving, but for you know, various activities. And basically just trying to be very neighborly and modest and in keeping with the fabric of the neighborhood. I think that's really all that we wanted to say. We worked very, very carefully to work with the setbacks for both transportation for this driveway, to angle it a little bit to make it to work. But I think we also have presented very usable units and a convertible unit for the rear as well. Okay.
And Wendy, the dotted outline in your elevations, is that your theoretical envelope?
Yes, that's what the
Right.
Richmond building.
So you're well within it.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Is that it?
Yes, I think that's it.
Well, let's see if we have any questions from the panel members. Cecilia, anything? Milton?
Just a question on the driveway. Is this because the previous, another project we saw that the driveway was intended to share with an adjacent site? Is this the same situation or not?
Well, in the future, it could share with the project to the south. But what we started out at the very beginning, we really wanted the units to have the exposure of the sun to the south. And we really felt it was important that the driveway be on the south side. Our real dilemma, and spent many months on this, is currently the fire hydrant is in the middle of the driveway of where we would be putting the driveway. But we've talked with the fire department, and we have their approval to put it just to the north, and that the distances still work. The issue for us as well is this existing house to the south. The driveway actually comes right, it's very close to the property line, and it comes right over, into our space really. So it's very tight there. And we were trying to put the fire hydrant to the south, but it just didn't work. But we really felt that because of the compactness, we wanted to be able to have that sunlight to the south.
So while you're in that area, I'm just wondering about landscaping. If the house next door has its driveway close to property line, and then you have a driveway there, is there an area there for some softening and landscaping? Or
Well,
is it
they
just
tried
fencing?
to do, you can see my screen still?
I can, yeah.
Yeah. So, there it is very tight there. We were just really squeezed. So it's really just a fence along that area, but then softening here. But they're all building there as well. I mean, they have that bit of a side yard. So no, we just don't have the room to provide the driveway clearances. Originally we had more room, but engineering said, nope, your driveway has to be wider. So,
Oh.
we really.
Well, you can speak to Milton about that. He's the director of engineering. Can you put a plan view back down? Maybe the site plan?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So it just deflects a little bit from property line at the street.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can see here the neighbor's driveway. It's actually over what it's allowed to be, but so you can see their part of their flared driveway comes right over past our.
And what is that in the corner there? Is that your bin storage and stuff?
Yes.
Is that all properly screened so it's?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's green, but they have very spacious garages and lots of room. So it's really just on the day of that.
Right. Yeah. So they just bring them down and.
Yeah, it's another engineering requirement, which, when you have a single family home, you just drag your things out during the day.
Yeah.
And personally, I think that that's the way it would happen, but we have provided a screened area.
Oh, so people could leave them there permanently, but from a practical point of view, you'd have to walk to the front every time, so they probably won't.
They won't, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions? Milton, what have you got to say for yourself here?
Sorry, Milton.
No, that's fine. Yeah, not too many questions on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty tight lot, but yeah, it seems to match quite well with the ones that are coming in to the north. So it does look like it's keeping the form and character of the area.
Yeah. And I think you are going to get the, the streetscape and the doors to the street for both units and stuff. Okay, so where are we at? Wayne, do you have any comments on this?
Just a couple comments, if I may, Mr. Chair. There is a site servicing agreement associated with the redevelopment of this property for site services and frontage works along Railway Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
There is an existing tree being retained in the rear lot of this property, as well as two existing trees on the property to the south. Okay, good.
So thanks. Any questions for staff from the panel? No? Nope. Okay. Any public, Rustico?
No member of the public has registered to speak at this meeting, Mr. Chair, and we received no correspondence as well.
All right. So we have a positive staff recommendation. Does someone want to move that?
Move.
And second, Cecilia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We still got the plans up, so I can only see you one at a time. Any comments from the panel?
Nice little project as far as duplex goes, and then I appreciate that you have a side-by-side parking. Sometimes that's a bit of a struggle with these ones, so thank you.
Yeah, I would echo that. So I'll call the question. All those in favour? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you've cleared the panel and you're free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. There you go. Hey, Wayne, is it just us?
Yes, we are still being recorded.
Oh, okay. Is the is the development permit required for all duplexes, or was it because there was a zoning or something unique about this one?
There's a development permit required for all arterial road duplexes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, it seems like a nice project. And I'm assuming that you're not still recording, are you?
You still have to set the new business and next meeting date, I
Oh,
think.
yeah. Okay, fair enough. Any new business?
No new business, Mr. Chair.
Okay, next meeting, April 14th, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Anyone move to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, we're adjourned. Now,